Hi everyone, in this part of the video we're going to talk about how to handle numbers and variables in string data and the list of these things. So this is just an example of calculating these expression as a numerical value. If you don't have n, it's going to be just that fractional form. So instead of having 11 actually there, and you can use letters that has 11 stored in it. So you can do this in the following way. So I typed it in here. First you store that 11 in A. Still this is a numerical data. So this really falls into these numbers that it's written here. It's numbers. It's probably not a standard name, but I will call that A. It's a numerical type data. So colon will not show anything about what has been done in here, just storing 11 in A. And because I don't have semicolon here, it will display this as a fractions as you run it. Shift enter. So I realized I typed it wrong before, so I eliminated 1 there. So it's square plus 1. Then this is a number 11 divided by 122. Now Sage knows what A is. And since with that the same value you can calculate different types of expression without entering 11 again, you can just represent them, represented with A in here. So this difference is the third power here. So if you execute it, sorry about that, shift enter, and it's going to calculate the next value. So a good thing about this worksheet is that not only you can do one calculation at a time. I already showed you that you can do two things. You can store number and a letter here. I'm not going to call it a variable. It's just a number, constant, represented by A. And then next line you can do something else. So when you execute this cell, and it's going to do these two lines. These lines can be two computing command as well. So I'm going to put it here. So for example, like this, I want to calculate this expression, and you hit enter, and then this expression, then it's going to recognize, because of the enter key you put it in here, and it's going to recognize that it's two different command lines. But if you hit shift to enter anywhere, then it's going to execute these two commands, which is what I just did. Then it gave you the two things. Since I just mentioned typing two different commands in one cell separated by this enter key, so let me mention how to actually type in one command into a line. Suppose I'm doing the silly thing here, I'm adding lots of 2's, and if you want to continue this command in the next line, if you hit enter key here, then it's going to recognize this as one command, and next line is a different command. But if you want to make it, the single command is very long, so you have to separate it to two lines. Then the following is the key. You will hit backslash in here and hit enter. And then if you continue more of these operation, then it will recognize this as a single line command. I was wrong about one thing. If you hit enter after the backslash, you have to have some indentation. So I hit tab, so created this space, and then it recognized as a single line with the backslash there. So if I add a few more, then it's going to recalculate and things on. So that's one thing you might need to know when your expression got longer. Next item I'd like to talk about is variables. So this is how you declare variable x and y and z. So once you declare a variable like this, and Sage will recognize this x and y and z as variables. So I'm going to hit shift enter, so it gives this output. For example, in this worksheet, I have not defined anything about this letter B. I defined what a constant A is. So B is unknown to Sage. So if you hit B squared, sorry, I was just playing behind the scene with B, so B was defined, so I chose the C that is untouched here. So when you do things like that, it'll say the C is unknown constant, so it doesn't do anything. So it gives you actually error message, C is not defined. Now before here, x is declared as a variable, and no value is assigned to x. So if you hit x squared, the Sage recognizes as indeterminate the variable x letter and deals with it like this x squared. For example, if you type in the expression like this, x minus 2 times y raised to third power, and it'll just expand this expression. So if you want to expand something like this, and then you can use the expand command. So you surround that third power of the this expression and with expand command, then it will expand this expression. So after that, I tried one thing. Right now, x and y and z are declared as a variable. W is not declared as a variable, but if I just assign the w to be this expanded version of this third power, I think it's automatically declares this w as some sort of variable type. So there was no problem with w defined in this way. You don't have to declare w as a variable as well, something like that. So it's going to be useful to some simple algebra. It's not as powerful as what Mathematica has as an algorithm, a simplifying algorithm, but I don't think we need that kind of a fancy power here. This will be probably sufficient. So next useful thing with this variable trick here is that suppose we have this expression x and y and z and all this thing, and then we want to substitute x equals something and y equals something, and this is how it's done. You have to tag it with dot and the substitute command. So for example like this w, which is this expression in here, what happened if we substitute with x equals 1/3 and y equals 3/7, and what could be that value? And this would be the command to handle it. So the answer was this fraction here. So if you want a numerical value, for example, just combining this numerical value of this thing, you can show this one and hit enter and go to the next line. And maybe I'm going to define this one as a number. Since this is not a variable anymore, I have to use substitute. So I'm going to call that one now c. So c is that fraction. And if you want numerical value of c with 100 digits, and that will be the command. Numerical value of c with 100 digits. Then it did not display this one because what it's the first line, what it is doing is not to display, but it's storing that number into c. In the next line we are showing this one. So if you also want to see that the fraction expression, you have to type c here and hit enter. Then it's going to show you the fractional expression and its decimal expansion as well. Not only you can actually type in the actual number, and you can use the constants that was defined properly in the Sage. So for example, a was defined before, so you can use x equals a plus 1, y equals 3a minus 1, and things like that, and substitute in there. So I just executed this one. It took actually a long time, and I had to realize myself what's going on, and I was sure nothing was wrong with the syntax of this command. And if you look at somewhere above here, it shows the status, what it's doing. Since we're doing through this online, sometimes, occasionally, it takes time. So it was a sync, that's what it was showing. Every time I change this file, it's trying to automatically update the content of the file. Then whenever you execute it, and if it is delayed, and you can see somewhere here that it's calculating or communicating with the server or something like that. So it's supposed to be quick, but it took a rather long time in here when I did this. I'm surprised this is an integer. I hope it's ran correctly. Alright, this time we're going to talk about strings. The strings are important. We're going to do something like called cryptography. It's about our languages transformed into numerical data and go through complicated number theoretic operation to disguise or hide the important information. That's a cryptography. So this is how you store a string of letters into a constant letter b. So b represents string, and it starts with this one quotation mark and ends with one quotation mark. So this time I wrote two sets of strings, so some contain my name and the title, the instructor, and I displayed B and C separately like this. One of the operation I'd like to introduce in here is putting these two string sets together. That was done by plus symbol. So here like this, if you do B string data plus C, and then it's going to put these string data together. So you can see they just literally put things together so that there's no space after this letter G and the beginning letter of the second set T. There are many ways to fix this one. You can put the comma and the space there, and that will create little thing. Or if you don't want to touch that B, only when you display these two things together here, you want to create the space, then you can put more data in between this. Just one way. B is the string set and C is that, and you just put the string that you want just for this purpose, just like this, so that represent the blank space in here. If you also want a comma in there, you can put the comma. So this is the temporary string set that's inserted just to display this one correctly, just like this one here. So this is going to be something useful for our cryptography assignments and projects. Another important operation I'd like to introduce is if B is representing these strings, you can isolate and you can choose one of the whatever the single letter that is involved in here. For example, 0 represent the first letter in the string set, and this is the way things are labeled. It was first inconvenient. Why didn't they label just first entry and second entry here and things like that? But they go always from the 0, everything, the beginning index to 0. Later I realized that it's whenever you go through the manipulation and mathematically, the index set beginning like this is more convenient than natural 1 and 1, 2. For the mathematical purposes, simply it's a better choice. So I agree with them. So if I change that to something like the 7, then it's going to show the 7th letter. Seems like that was a blank space. So if I change that to 8, we expect that's going to be C. So that's spit out C, things like this. Another nice thing is that you can not only just choose one letter in the string set, you can pick a group that are put together. So 8th letter, it's not 8th letter, it was 9th letter, I think, because we started from 0th entry. That's the 13th letter, things like that. So that will be just this portion. So that's another useful thing. Another useful data we want to know before we treat all the string set is the length of length of the string set, how many letters are involved in here, including all the blank space as well. So the command is len, the first 3 letters of length, and then that's going to be it. You can also put this combined string set like this. What is the length of B plus C? So applied a little bit of mathematics with it. B plus C, of course, the length is supposed to be the length of B plus length of C. So you can see that 27 letters included in both string set, including that blank space.